like the broker is not at, like Athens is not MetaTrader. Like it's like right now, like the broker Athens, it has a trading platform that you could trade on MetaQuotes, but like it's just like an add-on. Like right now, let's say let's say TradingView goes bust, right? Does that mean that the Euro JPY is like gonna plummet? No, this is just the platform where we see the charts on. This is, we could go to another platform, whatever else, you know. It's the same thing. MetaQuotes is just a platform where you could place a trade on. That doesn't mean anything's gonna happen to your money. It's literally nothing. I don't think it's a big deal. No, that should not be an issue at all. Like if you already have MT4, MT5, like you're good. Like I mean, like look, like it's like I have absolutely no issue. Like I'm fine. You know, I'm sure all of you guys that have it, you guys are fine. You know, I don't know, like it shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, people are just tripping, bro. It's so crazy. I've never had it on desktop. I'm gonna be completely honest. So I don't even know how that works. I've always done it through my phone. So I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, if you want it on your phone and you don't have it, just download a VPS. It's like a VPN, but VPS, and it's, you can literally have anything on your phone. I don't know if we're gonna have Sweet Trader, honestly. But yeah, let's get started, right? So I kind of moved some things around. Let's just, yeah, I think this was like here or something. But let's start off with last week, right? So I'm sure I don't have to mention it. Like I don't have to say go to last week's recording. This was as simple as it gets. Just a simple break and retest, wait for the upside. The 4 hour, you guys were waiting. We were waiting for it to go from bullish structure, whatever. Let's say this was bearish structure. We then have the body close above. See the body close above right there. Then we have the retracement, retest of the EMA. Boom. Like you guys are seeing it all there, right? Like I don't have to go crazy into depth. Like it's right there, right? This is like where I tell you guys I can't make these things up. Like I really can't. Like the markets are just doing it. So this is as easy, as simple as it gets. Daily doji, like I explained to you guys, at areas of interest, then gone. Did I think it was going to be something this big, this fast? Absolutely not. But now we wait for the same thing. Now we just wait for the next. Not for this. Now we just wait for the next higher low to go long. Like nothing changes, it's just the same thing. Gold. We came in, tapped our area of interest. Then we sold off. I personally was looking to actually take this trade right around here. I think it was on the 1 hour. I did not take the trade. Bro, is that literally, like it's literally right here. This is just, it's what's insane to me. Like it's right here. It goes from whatever bullish structure to then bearish structure, and then we have the retracement back to the area of interest to then sell. I just personally didn't take the sell here because this wasn't my entry signal. Again, we'll get into entry signals. Market gaps, yeah, I said this in the first couple classes. You shouldn't have market gaps if you're with Oanda. Let me see right now. XAUD, USD, XAU, USD, let's say with I don't know, forex.com or whatever. There's no gaps in that case. But if you have gaps, just go to Oanda and then you shouldn't have gaps. Right. So yeah, entry signals. If this would have been bearish engulfing right here, I would have definitely took the trade. But since this candle didn't engulf this one, I personally didn't take it. I didn't like this pattern right here. I didn't like how we were kind of creating bullish structure here. I thought this could have been an area where it could have maybe kept on going in the 30-minute, but that's where like it kind of gets a little bit tricky. A lot of people could maybe get confused because now you're just completely forgetting about where we're selling at and the bigger picture on a little bullshit 30-minute structure that you can't even see at all. Like if you look at it on the 4 hour daily, like what the hell was I tripping about? But honestly, I would have not taken it because this candlestick didn't engulf either. If you notice, this was the 9 o'clock candle, meaning that the 4 hour candlestick closed, the 2 hour, and then the 1 hour. So if you notice, none of these candlesticks engulfed. So I simply didn't take the trade. How do I feel that I missed it? I feel absolutely nothing. It's just cool because I predicted another move. I'm sure I'll just predict another one again and just catch it. It's pretty that simple. But yeah, so far 2 of the trades from last week played out. Euro JPY came into area of interest exactly how we wanted it to. So now it's at our area of interest. So this would be considered 3. This one tapped our area of interest and then sold off. That's 4. This one, we basically said if it body closes under, it's gone. We break above, then we buy. So you see, we avoided a loss here. GJ took a loss here. Pretty annoying because it was not supposed to happen, but obviously this is why I say the market can either go up or down. So you just basically catch a move with either side, whichever side makes the most sense. Then we obviously ended up getting some nice sells, which obviously it's kind of like the example that I told you guys that it's not what I'm teaching you guys right now. You guys will learn how to do it on your own. I'm teaching you how to, drive a car, do everything perfect. Then you learn how to jump into these trades. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much from last week, kind of like a little recap. Was kind of like a slow week at first and then took off towards the end. Those things tend to happen. But let's start all over, right? So let's go through everything again. So Euro GBP. Obviously, last week when we were looking at it, it looked golden, right? It looked perfect to have the next higher high move. And that was our chance. And there goes our chance, right? So if we were to write down our confluences, so are we, right? So we were to go out to the weekly time frame. Obviously, we are bullish. Are we 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3 on the weekly. Yep. We're still at a 1 because we're at the top. Like we're literally at a new high. Right? If we go down to the daily time frame, 1, 2, or 3. Yep, 1 because we're at the top. Same thing. We created. We're at a higher high. And then 4 hour, same exact thing. It's very clear we're at the top on all time frames, right? So we're now going to have the same thing, waiting for retest of area of interest. So after you identify all 4 time frames, what do you do? What do you do after this? Do we look for buys? Do we look for sells? What do we do? Perfect. We go right back to the weekly. We reset back to the weekly, and now we mark up areas of interest in between the higher highs and higher lows. So if that were to be the weekly higher high, we now mark off the weekly higher low at this point right here. It's the last structured point. Higher low, we get our box, so we know exactly what we're looking for. We drag it to the left. So we start from the top down. Start from here, start going down. This can be a possible area due to the fact that it is maybe some support, some resistance to here. So let's throw that as weekly area of interest 1. Weekly, right? Let's just take this off for now. Let's take this off for now. We keep it going. Keep coming. So far, nothing clean. I mean, this looks all right. As you can see, it's some support, resistance, some support, some resistance, some support. This could be a potential area of interest number 2 for the weekly. And then we get this right here. We keep it coming. And then let's just throw this last structure point. But let's only do 2 areas of interest so we don't fill it up too much. So you guys are with me so far? You guys get that? Simple, clean, repetitive, right? So cool. So now let's go back down to the daily time frame. Daily time frame, we do the same thing. So now we got to have the higher high and higher low. So this is where we mark off the higher high and the higher low. We would get our box, put our box like this, and then we would drag it out to the left. And then again, we start off from the top. So let's start from here. And then area of interest could kind of maybe be this zone right around here, because it is some clean resistance, some clean support, some clean support, some support, resistance support, some support through here, more support. So this could definitely be a daily area of interest. So area of interest 1 for the daily. And then if we were to keep it going down now, we can maybe mark off this previous higher high structure point. It is it's like an all right level. It's really nothing crazy. But we do have to respect the previous structure point, same way how we've been doing it all throughout here. So we can easily respect it here again. So let's just do this. It really depends, Mateo, honestly. But yes, it did. It definitely did. I agree. So then we can mark this off as area of interest 2 for the daily. So as you guys can see, these two zones are kind of very close to each other. So we can kind of find the round psychological level in this one. So let's just call it, it was 0.89. Boom, round psychological with 800. So now we have this kind of zone through here. And that's it. Now we don't need these two lines. So now we just got this zone here. We know that when we look left, that's what it is. You guys are seeing how we made that look clear. Very simple, very easy, right? So we did that with this first zone because obviously it's the first level. Price could come here and then potentially go like that, right? We don't know when this is going to stop. Like we absolutely have no idea. Like it could probably be some shit like this and it just doesn't stop, right? But everything that goes up must come down. So everything that goes up must come down. If you look at the magnitude of this push right here, like look at it compared to this move. Like it's literally nothing. So who knows how much more it can go up. That's why you never want to take the counter trend trades. So this is where we would basically put here, waiting for retest, area of interest. You guys are seeing how fast, how simple we did that, how clear, how was it? How simple was this? Like how was this? It's crazy. It gets easier every day. Yeah. And that's like, I'm like, my whole goal is to get, it feels too quick. It's not like, you're not supposed to take long, you're supposed to just, get on here. That was funny. Patience sucks. Patience does suck, but very simple analogy that I have for that is like, you plan to, live and trade for the next whatever 5-10 years. Like you got from here to like all of this. Like I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities in here on this one pair. Like how many more there is. So there's no rush. Why don't I put my alert? Yes, but I personally think this is going to come down a lot more than just here. But obviously this just goes more into like the trading. This will go into like next week and stuff like that, because I don't think this needs a daily retracement. I think this needs a weekly retracement. I think this week needs if you notice, it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks of bullish. I think this next week should be able to have this pullback. And obviously, if that has its pullback, the daily has to go bearish, meaning the daily is going to break this right here. And this is the same thing as we explained in the beginning. In order for the weekly to have the retracement, the daily has to go bearish. So that's what I think is going to happen here. So yes, the ideal thing right now would be to put my alarm here and wait for that. But obviously, like I, have a little bit more experience in the sense that I think that I know what's going to happen. So then that's why I don't. But yes, we'll just put it for this example's purposes, right? Gold, right? So we're going to do the same exact thing. Weekly time frame. Are we at 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Simple. 1. Okay. Right? Because we are clearly at a lower low. Right? Daily time frame. Are we at 1, 2, or 3? All right. We are at a 1 because we are clearly at a lower low. And then 4, are we at a 1, 2, or 3? All right, so we are all the same as the other. Everything is bearish. We are at the lowest point on all time frames, or the lower low, right? So this is where we again reset right back to the weekly. And what do we do on the weekly time frame? Well, we set areas of interest, right? So same thing. Area of interest 1 would basically remain the same spot, because we're not looking to have, yes, even though we already had the retracement last week, like we already had the break under, we already had the wick retest. Like if you guys go to last week's reporting, it's crazy because I literally said like we need this wick. Like it just blows my mind, right? Because I just have like fucking photographic memory or whatever from last week. So I look at it and be like, damn, we didn't catch this, but whatever, no big deal. Like if you're predicting these things left and right, like it's gonna come the time where you don't like just say it, like you just click the button and that's it. Because all we had to do was just click one button and then we made the money here. So it's very simple. So we're not gonna now put a new area of interest here or wherever. Let's say we'll put it at this body. So that doesn't make sense. The same area of interest is at the same exact area because it's the cleanest area. Like if you look at it, it's the only area that makes sense. So we're gonna leave this as weekly and daily area of interest number 1. It's literally the only area that makes sense, right? But in this case, it's still weekly area of interest 1. This is where we go down to the daily time frame. And now this is where obviously things change. You guys are seeing how like now it can change, right? So if we mark this off as the lower high, like look at the importance of these zones, bro. It's crazy. And then we mark this off as the lower low. Notice how we draw off our zone. We go left. We can't have the trade come here because then if the weekly has the pullback, now the daily's bullish. You're just seeing how it's all like evolving, right? So let's say now we have to draw our areas of interest. And again, we start from the bottom up since we're bearish. Looks like this would be the most logical area around here that would make the most sense. And if we were to look left, what a coincidence, it is used as support, it is used as resistance, it is used as support, it is used as resistance. And if we look more left, what a coincidence, it is very clear. Resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance, support, resistance. You guys get it, right? So it's obviously an area where it's going to be respected. So this is where we mark off this as the daily area of interest, 1 in the daily. This is where we take this off. I swear you make it look even easier than when we do it. I mean, because like it's like experience, like I have the chart. I've been doing like imagine like every single day for the past 5 years, like getting on here and like never missing a day. Like I'm telling you, there's like 365 days, like every single day. I get on the charts on the weekends. Like whenever I get on my computer to do whatever, trading view is the first thing that pops up on my face. So like I see it. So obviously we have this as the area of interest. So we're looking for kind of like the swing trade or whatever. We're going to have price wait to come back to this area of interest to then sell, right? But if we go down to the daily, we can wait for a clean daily lower high here to then sell, right? You guys are with me? Looks clear, simple. So this is where we'll come in. Can we throw around psychological level in here? I mean, bro, it's just like pulling up here every single day, man. And this is just directly to Derek. Like every single day and just being here, man. Like being here is not easy, bro. So you would do here the round psychological, and then maybe if you want to get a zone, go from these bodies right here to the round psychological level, and then you just honestly delete that line right there. So now all you need is for price to just come back around the zone, you adjust a little bit. So this is what you're waiting for price to come back in here and then sell. You're just seeing how now you don't even need the line, you just need that. Simple. So this one for a fact, I'm gonna throw my line on because I think this one's fire. I don't like the fact that on the weekly it's just like gonna be a wick in here, but even then it doesn't look bad because if you notice we're creating lower high wicks, lower high, potential lower high. Does it matter how small the zone is? Just has to make sense. Honestly, the zone just has to, because again, this is going to be more like a day trade, for sure. Because if you go down to the 4 hour, you notice how it's 4 hour support as well. Around psychological 166, actually, you could find around here, around 16600. So we can even throw this to the bottom of this body. So you guys are seeing how it's like looking a lot juicier now as a day trade, because now we'll have like a little 30-minute, 1 hour retracement. And then here we wait for the day trade short. But again, you got to keep in mind that this could still have the possibility of having the full retracement into here to then having the trade short. So this is where when you go type up your confluences and you grade your trade, that's where you decide to take it and what you decide to risk. Like this is going to tell you whether it's a high risk trade or a low risk trade because of the probability. You guys are seeing how it's all like making a lot more sense. You're seeing how I can't like explain on in one day, right? Like it's very difficult. So which one looks a lot faster in the sense of becoming ready to take the trade versus the other one, right? So 1 or 2, what would you rather have? 1 or 2? Okay. Yep. Right. Yeah. Very clear. Very clear that gold looks a lot cleaner than Euro GBP at the moment. We keep it going. So now we're going to go to Euro JPY. So kind of like a little heads up or like whatever. I think gold and Euro JPY are the only two pairs for the rest of the week, other than maybe GJ, and I'll get into that shortly, right? So as you can tell here, weekly time frame, we're going to do the same exact thing. Are we at a top? Are we at 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3 on the weekly time frame? 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Great answers. Could be a little confusing. All right. Yeah, you guys are getting it. So it's either 2 or 3, right? Are you going to wait for it to reach? And this is why it's so important to mark it off, so important to like do all of these things. Because like I'm asking you a question that the answer is literally right here. This is why it's so important to draw everything out, right? So are you going to go based off of area of interest 2 or area of interest 1, right? So for now, let's just put this as 2, right? This is just for right now because we don't know where we are. Obviously, we got to go down to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, are we at 1, 2, or 3? Okay, cool, 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 cool. Okay, yeah. So technically, it would be 2 because the moment we break under this area of interest, now we're destined to go to our next area of interest, right? This is textbook. This is what it's supposed to be. So for now, we're going to leave it as on the way. And I'm going to leave this zone here because of what I'm going to teach you guys now, obviously, with what we have this upcoming week. And this is the perfect trade for it. And why I think it's not going to make it to area of interest number 2. Right? But let's just leave it like that for now, right? So then we already know that we're bullish, we're bearish, and then the 4 hour is pretty clear that it is bearish, right? As you can see, we have low, lower high, lower low. So we have a 20% in one way, 10% in the other. For now, let's just delete this. And right now, we're not waiting for the retest of the area of interest. So what did I mean by when I told you guys that we might be at the area of interest, but we're not like there? I mean that we might not make it to this one. So if you notice, obviously on the weekly time frame, we have a huge retracement, huge bearish engulfing candle, which isn't the ideal thing you want to see if you're trying to buy. But when you go down to the daily, we are now under this zone right here that we're looking to buy if we were above. So kind of like NZD JPY, where I explained to you guys, if we body closed under this zone, the only way we're looking for buys is if we body close above and then we get the retracement to go long, right? You guys remember this? This is very simple. This is very clear, right? Notice the same exact thing happening right now on Euro JPY. We have body closed under this zone. So there's still that high possibility that we can get a daily bullish engulfing above this resistance, support, resistance, to now be then having the retracement, retesting the EMA and this area to go long, right? Does that make sense? Is it clear? It's literally the same exact thing as NZD JPY. If we body close under, we're no longer looking for buys until we now reach the next area of interest to go long. So as of right now, the ideal thing to do is to wait for it to get here to then look for the long. But we might not make it all the way here, because if you notice, the break of this EMA and the break of this zone, if you go down to the 4 hour, it can literally be this neckline double bottom, where then we retest to go to the upside. And at the same time, we could then have this EMA get flipped around and then get used as a dynamic support to then go to the upside. You guys are seeing how we're painting a picture, how we're doing all these things. So we're waiting for the break above, waiting for the retest of the neckline, waiting for the retest of the daily EMA, waiting for the retest of the support and resistance, user support, waiting for the daily bullish engulfing. Like, look at all these things we could be waiting for versus it getting to here. So this is why all these things need to happen for me to take the buy versus taking the buy or waiting for it to get here. So this is just kind of like to put you guys in a perspective why I don't delete this here. Because in an ideal situation, I'm supposed to, but there's still a possibility that all those things that could happen for me to take the trade. So you guys are seeing how all of that makes sense, right? Or I can explain it again, whatever. Was it clear? Was it too fast? Tell me, what do you guys think? Clear. I was about to ask the same question. What do you mean? I got EJ marked up the same way. Fire. Oh, okay. About taking the trade at area of interest number 2. Yeah. So yeah. So if obviously none of these things happen, then you just wait for it to get here. And then when you get to here, then you wait for the shit to structure, so on and so forth. Why would this not be a possible sell? It could be. But again, it's just gonna come back to this. What grade are you going to give it? Because right now we still don't know how to fully grade it because we're not there yet. We're probably like 40-50% in. We still have a lot more left. That's what we're going to obviously do in the upcoming weeks. And then you could take this sell, same way how I explained to you guys this whole entire thing was going to happen right here. We're going to have the shift in structure, then we're going to have a retest of the neckline of the head and shoulders to then sell to this area of interest. You could have taken this sell 100%, but it just comes back down to is like what are you willing to risk, this one or do you want this one? But yeah, we predicted this. You guys remember this pullback, right? And then how I explained this retest. I just want to make sure you guys are like seeing it all with me, because I see it, I get excited. I just want to make sure you guys are seeing it too, because if you guys are seeing it, you know, like, because one, like I see, I'm by myself and like, you know, here, so like making sure all of you guys see it, like wherever the fuck you are, like it's kind of cool, you know, like I'm not the only one seeing this shit. Yes, we want it for it to retest. Yes. Okay, so that's for Euro JPY. So now you ask yourself, what is closer to take a trade? 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Okay, fire. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it would be 2 because if you notice, basically Euro GBP, we would need to have this whole retracement, figure out if we're going to come to area 1 or area 2. We don't even know if we're going to have the retracement right now. We could keep going up. If you notice, Euro GPY has already decided to have the retracement. So we're ahead of Euro GBP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 10 days. So this is where Euro JPY would go above because this one's already at an area of interest. We just need one bullish engulfing, a retest long. Euro GBP, we need retracement, shift the structure, come into this area, and then have the bullish engulfing to go long. So it would require a lot more time for this one to take the buy versus this one because we're already here, right? Do you always wait for pullbacks? What about breakouts? Those are again, teaching you the ideal thing, the ideal. But yeah, there's a couple different things that we could do with that. AUDCHF, I'm gonna be completely honest. This was just as simple as it could have gotten. Very clean level of support, wick retest. Everything is there, right? So again, same thing. Let's identify. Are we at 1, 2, or 3? One, 2, or 3 on the weekly time frame. Okay, exactly. We are at 1 because if we were to mark it off, we are technically at a lower low. We're literally at a lower low. We don't know how much lower this can go. There's no pullback being created right now, right? So weekly time frame, we're at a lower low. Daily time frame, are we at a 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Okay. 1. Because as of right now, we are at a low or just low within the structure. Like we don't even know what, like this is just super weird. We had one bullish candle and then right there, the same exact candle bears to the downside. That shows the strength of this zone, like the magnitude of how powerful it is when you're under it. Like it's so crazy. It's literally showing it to you right here. Whenever we're under it, whenever we're selling, the moment we body close above, wake retest, and then we're gone. So obviously this is a crucial zone that we're in right now. And then obviously in the 4-hour, you could identify we are at a low as well, or 3. I mean 1, because we're not at an area of interest. So honestly, for me, I don't really like how this looks. It just looks like pretty choppy. We basically have 2 candlesticks down, 1 candlestick up in the same spot, another candlestick down. For me, honestly, if we don't just come back into this area, I'm not looking to sell. So for me, I need this. And then once we have that pull back into there, then I'll sell. But I'm not trying to like put this as an area of interest. One, I want to sell at the strongest point. I don't want to sell like in the middle. So for me, this would definitely be the strongest point. Very similar to gold, very strong level we just wicked into. Very strong level we just wicked into. So as of right now, I don't really want to give it too much attention because kind of like the move already happened, unless we have a wick come back into here. So this is just the same thing, waiting for rejection of area of interest. And I would just mark this off as my area of interest. You guys are seeing how like that just makes your life a lot easier, right? Like this is where it makes the most sense to sell. So you just wait for it to come into this area to sell. So again, we'll just go on to the next one. A lot of these markets are going to look the same because they've all had the same exact move. So that's why I kind of told you, I think these are going to be the only 2 clean ones for this week. But we'll continue. NZD JPY. This was yeah. So this is kind of what I explained to you guys last week. Long. Okay, cool. So as of right now, are we at a 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Are we bullish or bearish? Yep. Okay. So clearly the weekly has shifted from bullish to now bearish. And we are at a 1, meaning we're at a weekly lower low. And this is dope because I can guarantee you right now, if anybody wants to take any bets, this is going to have this retracement. Why? Because we are reaching a level of resistance, a level of support, and we're reaching the weekly EMA. Clearly, this weekly EMA is used as a very clean support when above, and this needs a retracement to then sell. Like it needs it, right? And this is a very strong area that it took us a lot of time to break through above. So it's like a magnet. Price is going to come right back into it, without a doubt. As of right now, weekly is 1. Let's take this off. All right. Daily, are we bullish or bearish? And are we 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Okay, so if we are bearish, then we are technically at a 1 because we are at a lower low. We need a daily lower high to then sell, right? Then 4-hour, same thing. We're obviously at a lower low with a possible doji. Well, this doji, this doji is just like right now. This is not a doji yet. It still has 22 hours, so this can literally be anything. So the 4 hours bearish. So now we have 3 time frames in sync, but we are all at the lowest point. So again, this is where we come back out to the weekly time frame, and then we reset. If this is the lower high, and then this is the lower low as of right now. We then get our zone, and then we mark it off. Mark off our zone. We would get it, drag it to the left, and this is where we would begin, right? So disregard this box. So this is where we would start off, the same thing, get our line, go up to the areas that make the most sense. So we come here. Obviously, this is a point of support. If we look left, very strong resistance, 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 support, support, resistance, resistance, so on and so forth. So this could definitely be weekly area of interest 1. You guys are seeing how we identified that. You guys are seeing how that clean, simple. Let's take off this zone as well. Doesn't make sense right now. Let's take off this zone. So you guys are seeing how we marked that off. Very clean, very simple. So we've already marked this off. Now we got to go from this point up. So now if this is the last point, now we keep coming up. This could be the next point because it was the previous structure point. We look left, support, support, some very nice body resistance. We look more left, some bodies over here. It's a nice level, and we have to respect the previous structure point. So we can mark this off as area of interest number 2 on the weekly. So this is where we take off the zone. No need to keep going. And this is basically where you would get your zone from. You would get your zone from here to then here. Mark it off. Delete these 2 areas of interest because you know now you're waiting for price to come into the zone and then sell. If you want to throw around a psychological number, just come in here and then you double click it. What a coincidence, 84,000. You guys are seeing that, right? Is it simple? Am I going too fast? I just want to like get today, I just want to recap on everything we've done in the past 2 weeks so we can now move on to the next things. So I want to make sure you guys are all clear. Go ahead. Yeah. Question. Yeah, go ahead. Is that zone a little too big? It could be. Talk about like 50 pips, yeah. But it's like a weekly zone, right? So I'm just showing you guys like kind of what it could look like, because in the weekly, like this probably isn't really much. But if we were to go down to the daily, I would just squeeze it to the first area. So let's say that this would be the weekly area. I'd do it like this. And then let's say we break through that, then I would do it like this. I would flip it around. So now I'd put it to these bodies, which was the bodies of this candlestick right here. So I would just kind of flip it up and down based off of, are we above or under? But I use the round psychological as like reference. If the daily closed as a doji, could you use that as an idea to go back towards the area of interest? Yeah, you could use that as like an indication, but I don't take the trade again. Like I don't take the trade back to the area of interest. I mean, I do, but like that's not what I'm teaching you guys how to do now. Right now, the ideal thing is to wait for it, because right now this could create a doji, and then yes, it could come back, but then it could literally do a doji like here. Like let's say here we have a, for example, here we had a higher high. We have the doji. Look how much bullish move we had. We should have expected a retracement for here, especially that we just came into this resistance. The ideal trade was for this to have a pullback to then continue up. But then guess what? We didn't. We kept pushing up. That's why I'm telling you like that, like just because we have a doji and we're at a resistance doesn't mean we need the pullback. That's why we would rather wait for the pullback. But yes, there is ways you could take these trades if they make sense. Yeah, of course. So you guys are with me so far? Everything as of right now made sense, how we got this zone here, what we're waiting for on the weekly. Perfect. Fire. Okay. So now this is where we go down to the daily. Daily would be the same thing. If this would be the daily lower high, this would be the daily lower low. We would get this box right here, and then we would basically drag it to the left, and we would start finding areas of interest from the point down, point up. First area of interest could maybe be this one. There's some support through here. Some resistance, but as you can tell, if we mark it up and bring it up to the highs of those candlesticks, these bodies, it happens to basically line up with the zone that we have now marked off here. So we would drag it down a little bit, make that area of interest number 1 for the daily, and then area of interest 2, we'll keep it going. It'll basically be this body right here, which is the last structure point, and at the same time, it is the weekly structure point. So this is actually pretty juicy, because if you notice, like the area of interest we're marking off on the daily and the weekly are kind of the same exact zone. So it's looking fire. So what would you mark off more interesting? Would it be NZDJPY? So would it be 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Exactly. So NZDJPY would look a lot better. What about 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Okay. Okay, fire. Yeah, exactly. So 2, right? So this one could be a little bit tricky because they're technically the same. They're all bullish. Notice how these are all bullish, and technically, I mean, these are all bearish, and technically this is all bullish, right? They're literally exactly the same. But if you notice here, if this were to have a retracement to our weekly area of interest, the daily goes bearish. If this has a pullback to the weekly area of interest, even if it's here, the daily is still bearish. You guys are seeing that, right? You guys are seeing how that makes sense. You're seeing how both of these trades are technically currently right now. Shit. They're technically the same. Both are waiting for the retest of the area of interest. They're all 1, 1, 1, and then waiting for the retest 1, 1, 1. But that's the difference between these two. See how like you could get super technical with these things just with market structure, right? So that's we keep it going. GJ, it's literally the same exact thing as NZDJPY. It just looks a little different. Now we are Let's just delete all of this because we already know what we got to do. Confluences. To go short, 1. Weekly bearish. Are we at 1, 2, or 3 on the weekly? Okay. Yep. Fire. All right, so we are at 1 on the weekly. Daily, we are obviously bearish. Are we at 1, 2, or 3? Pretty simple. Yep. We are at 1, and then it's very clear what the 4-hour is as well. 4 hours obviously bearish, and we are at 1, right? So 4-hour bearish, and we are at 1. This is where we will go back, reset to the weekly time frame. You guys notice how it's all the same thing. You guys see how it's like a pattern. We're literally doing the same thing. It's just repeat. So if this is the lower high, and then this is the lower low. Basically, this is where we will get our zone like this. Get it, drag it out to the left, and then this is where we would start. Again, start from the bottom up because we're looking for sells. Area of interest number 1. This is actually a very nice area of interest because it's used as support, used as resistance, used as support, resistance. The thing is that I already have this zone marked off. You guys probably can't see it, but I already have it there. It's round psychological 150-700. You can see it right there, I think. Let me see. Yeah, you see, round psychological 150-700. I already had the zone marked off. It's kind of like what I told you guys. See how I have all these lines here? They're just gray. You can't see them when price gets to those areas. I just mark them off. So for example, like this zones right here, I'm supposed to be leaving them. Like this one, I'll leave it. I'll just get it and put it white. Price ever comes back there, I know exactly that it's respected, right? So this would be area of interest number 1 on the weekly. Then we'll keep it going. Area of interest number 2 would obviously technically be this structure point because I see the line right here. Let's see, 15800. We have bodies, some wicks, some bodies. So maybe this could be area of interest number 2. Just gonna put it back to gray so it's not like too much. And then we can have this area right here where we were just at as area of interest number 3, right? But for now, we'll just do 1 because then we want to go down to the daily and see what makes the most sense. So obviously this would be the daily. What would be the daily lower high? 0.1 or then 2? Okay. So I personally think 2 looks cleaner than 1. I could see this, how this could be an elbow. And obviously we had rejection from a level here. We were to mark it off, make it look white again. See, it's a strong level of support and resistance. We created the elbow there perfectly. So this would be the lower high. So then this zone goes like this. And then we'll start again from the bottom up. What a coincidence how this level of support and resistance also looks good on the daily. And then if we were to keep going from here, I'd probably mark off an area of interest around here. Simply because there is clean support. What a coincidence it is. Round psychological 160,000. So I'll leave those 2 zones. So this would be my daily area of interest number 2, because I would make this my area of interest number 1 on daily as well. So area of interest 1 on the daily. And then these would be the 2 zones where if price comes in, we can possibly sell from, right? You're just seeing how we're painting the picture. See now everything's looking clean, simple, easy. Cool. So and here's where we'll put. All right, move on to the next one. So this is where I'll move this one up because it kind of looks like I'm just gonna put it next to this JPY one because obviously both of these JPY. So it's kind of like what I explained to you guys last week. One of them is gonna have the pullback first, whichever one gets to this area of interest first, will determine which one looks more ready, and then which one makes the most sense. Obviously, they're both JPY. You know, I'm sure the examples are pretty like repetitive and they're all very simple. USD CAD, same thing. We're at the top. We're waiting for a retracement to go long. It's crazy because we called this together at the beginning of the boot camp. I know you guys remember. We waited for this retest to come here to then go long. And it's just kind of like what I told you guys. Remember how like whenever you set up a swing trade like this that has all 3 time frames in sync, you're buying at a weekly round psychological, you're buying at a weekly strong resistance, use as support. You're supposed to set and forget. Like you're just supposed to let it ride. Like you don't close it off of like the first bullish move, right? Because you're taking a swing trade. Like if you were to take this same strategy and then you do it based off of the daily 4-hour, 2-hour, kind of how I explained to you guys on last week, you don't hold it like a swing trade. Like instead of you holding for 2 weeks, right, for 2 candlesticks, let's say on the weekly time frame, you hold it for 2 or 3 candlesticks on the daily, which would say like, let's say you're catching this retracement, you would hold it for these 2-3 retracement candles. Like you get what I mean? Like it just depends on the type of trade that you're going to take. You got to know how long you're going to hold it. So if the trade is obviously bullish, you're going against all the higher time frames, you got to take the buys with it, right? What do you determine to be my entry? So I need bullish candles if I'm obviously buying, and then I need bearish candles if I'm obviously selling. But entry signals is like the last thing. Literally, like when we type up the confluences, it's literally going to be the last thing we take on the trade, right? So as of right now, USD CAD, literally we're just waiting for same thing to go long. Personally, I think this one's going to take quite some time. It's almost like Euro GBP in a way, because look how much bullish move we have. We need some strong retracements. Same thing with NZD CAD. I'm good. GBP CHF. So like I want you guys to understand this. Like how do I know how to trade this if price has like never been in this area ever? Like if you go back to the history, we could put GBP CHF on let's see, we'll put it here. Oh shit. GBP CHF on FXEM because it has more history. Like this is insane. Like we haven't been at this level since what, 1974. Like I don't even think my parents were born at that time. Like this is crazy, right? Like I don't know, like what do you do? Yeah, you just go to the next pair. Like that's literally all you do. Like there's not like that's just what you do, right? Like there's no reason on why to figure it out. You just same thing here. GBP USD, FXCM. We're literally at the lowest points on the history of whatever, like at the support. So now I like, what would me 2-3 years ago want to do? Like, oh shit, we're at a support level, bro, we're buying. But that's like the wrong thing to do, because same thing as GBP CHF, when we approached it here, oh, it's impossible, it can never go lower than this. Clearly it did. So can this can clearly keep on going down. Now I don't want to get involved, I don't want to learn how to trade this. Just go to the next pair, I'll figure it out. Never. I just focus on what I know and what makes sense. Like I'm trying to trade in here. I want to get these moves in here. They move in my way faster. They make a lot more sense. And that's it. I'm not trying to be that hero taking these trades down here, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Same thing with USD JPY. We're at the highest freaking point we've ever been in the history. I'm good. NZD USD. We just created a nice lower low. I'm good. AUDSD, weekly lower low, I'm good. This has to create too much of a pullback for me to be interested. AUDJPY, right? So you guys are seeing how I just eliminated like 4 or 5 pairs because they just don't even look ready. Like they're so down there, they're so up there that there's just no point on, you know, risking it. So now this is obviously a JPY pair, and I personally myself, I think NZD JPY and GBP JPY look a lot cleaner than this. If you notice, you can't really identify the elbow here. If you notice, if you want to call this an elbow for then the higher high, but then if you call this one, so it gets a little bit tricky. Just look how much cleaner this one looks. Here, you're just waiting for this pullback here to sell. Now here on this one, you can maybe be looking for buys because this could probably be at a support level now. Like if it just doesn't make sense, take it on to the next pair and you keep it on going, right? So for me, CAD JPY, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like it. Nothing against it. I just rather trade. I just rather trade this, right? Which makes a lot more sense. So this is where we'll get our charts, and then notice how now we've cut this down to about 4 pairs for this upcoming week, right? Let me make sure. Let me make sure. Yeah, this one I'm good on. Yeah, this one I'm good on too. It's gonna take a while. So now for this upcoming week, the closest ones. So now we ask ourselves, what would be the closest ones to take a trade? So we would now grade all of these pairs on whatever, like A, B, or C, or 1, 2, 3, like whatever is closer to take the trade, right? So what's closer to take a trade? Would it be gold, or would it be Euro JPY? What would be closer to take a trade? 1 or 2? Really great advice. Yeah. Okay. So it would technically be 2, because if you notice this one right here, we need 1 price to come back to the area of interest and then reject. So there's 2 variables. 1, we don't know if we're going to come back here. We can literally just keep going. And then 2, we don't know if we're going to come back here and then reject, because we could come back here and then keep going. So there's 2 things, right? Versus on Euro JPY, we're technically at the area of interest. All we need is a break above and then retest, or just a little tap to this area of interest. So technically this one would be a lot closer to take the trade versus gold, right? So now we'll do gold versus NZD JPY. So which one's a lot closer to take a trade? Would it be NZD JPY or gold? So 1 or 2? 1 or 2? So by refreshing the charts every Sunday, you know, you can always catch some moves every week, 100%. Like every single week we get on, like we throw on new markets, and I literally show you guys how we could have caught trades, and I could touch on that a little bit, right? So technically it'd be gold because it's like a little quick retracement, little quick day trade short, versus NZD JPY that it kind of needs like the bigger weekly pullback to then sell, right? But I would kind of be more of the same thing. So I wouldn't grade one or the other. Technically, it would be the same. And then GJ and JPY, obviously, they're literally like the same thing, right? You just got to take one that makes the most sense. Yeah. So when we started off the bootcamp, we have called USD CAD. USD CAD was a stupid, crazy, retarded, solid trade. Like this was just beautiful. We called this one, we called Euro GBP, we called GJ buys that didn't work out. We called the NZD pullback sells, we called the gold sells, and then Euro JPY sells. So it's been a success, at least for my belief so far. I do think this week we will be seeing something on Euro JPY and then on gold, right? So basically what would be the following in these next upcoming 2 weeks would basically be like the shift of structure for entry and then entry signal. And then after that, it would just be tying it all together and then how to do it across basically weekly, daily, 4 hour to then doing it from 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour. So basically going from swing trading approach to day trading approach to like us potentially catching these buys to here, if the trade makes sense, or us catching the buys from here to here. So now it's going to be more of like, how do I fully take the sell here once it gets here? You guys will kind of get like the full of that maybe by the end of this week, early of next week. And then the ending of next week will be the how to do it on every other time frame. But it's like we can kill it out literally in one day because we know exactly how the approach is already. So we just shift it from now bigger picture to now coming down to the smaller time frames. Making it bro, I'm honestly like, I'm excited, and I'm like, I'm glad I've gotten a lot better at teaching it because I've become so much more efficient. Like so much. Like you guys get it a lot. Like, what would you guys rather have? Would you guys rather have a Zoom? Because this is how it was on the first boot camp. Like a Zoom that would go on for 2 hours, 3 hours, saying the same thing, and you guys don't get it, or a Zoom that I go on for an hour and then you guys get it right off the bat. Like it's so much more frustrating and draining on both of our ends. Me trying to explain to you for 2 hours and you not getting it, and you trying to get it for 2 hours and not getting it. Like it's just so much more frustrating that way versus like, here it is, simple, move on, Bro, if you go see the bootcamp videos, one, you'll laugh, bro. Like, you'll laugh, man. Yeah. Yeah, with the swing trades, it's like set and forget is, it's like funny because I made it funny, but it's very well, like it's looked over, like for sure. Like you can like really go crazy with it. Could be very powerful if it's used right. Because like right now, if you know that this shit has just shifted bearish on all time frames or whatever, like you can expect to have like now this whole entire market shift bearish, like this whole weekly time frame go bearish. Why not hold this whole thing? Obviously swaps, commission, like there's a lot of different things. But if you like now you know where you are in the move, why not? You get me? Like now like you literally know what's gonna happen next. It's very easy to predict it. It's just a matter of getting it, because it's very easy to look at it on the higher time frames and predict what's gonna come next. It's very easy to see, but now it's just a matter of how do I figure out how to get in here on the lower time frames, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. But it could easily be done. Like 2.5 years. Have you ever held trades for weeks? Yeah, my longest trade ever was on AUD JPY. I held it for like about, I don't know, it was a while, I'm not gonna lie. Where is it? Somewhere around here. Was it on it? Oh yeah, AUD JPY. Yeah, this one. So I held this trade for about, I think like 2-3 weeks. 22, so yeah, like 2-3 weeks. But I didn't hold this whole entire thing wasn't my position, like one position. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, there's no shot. I was like, this is where I figured out the whole set and forget. I probably held my whole position until like here or like around here. Then I closed like 75%, and then I left 25% running. And when I left the 25% running, I'm like, bro, why did I not leave the whole position running? And that's kind of where I figured it out. Like we're so like attached to the money, like, oh, like we just want to lock in those profits now. And then so like, if you're willing to lock in 50% and then let 50% run, what's the difference of just letting it all run? Why are you so attached to that half? You get me? So what I did is just, I'm just not attached to it at all. So I just let the whole thing run. Sometimes it sucks as it comes back, takes me on a break even, but when it plays out very well. Like imagine I would have been holding those gold cells that I did on that challenge to myself on the 100K week. Like, dude, I would be in a position like this right now. Remember my stops were like this. Like imagine, like all I had to do was just set and forget. This would have probably taken me out of break even maybe, or like whipped me out. But like look at the move. Like you're seeing how the overall, like I'm going with the trend. So now it's just figuring out how to get in here. And that's exactly what's coming up next week or this week, whatever. So yeah. But yeah, that would have been crazy. That would have been like 300K. Yeah, no. Who won the one-on-one? I don't know. With me and Raul won the paintball. Yeah, it was. We smoked each other. Raul's really good, bro. Raul's skinny as shit. He's fast. I'm not that fast. I'm kind of heavy. So he used to play for real. He has like a fully automatic gun. It's not fair.